Join us for a week-long trip to Panama! We took this trip in early March, which corresponded with their dry season. We prepared for warm temperatures and humidity, and thankfully only encountered a few hours of rain during our time there. We knew there was going to be a lot of walking with our luggage on this trip, so we each opted for a large backpack as our carry-on and then a smaller bag as our personal items. We took a quick flight to Las Vegas, then we were able to catch an overnight direct flight from Las Vegas to Panama City. This was a group trip with some friends, so we didn't actually end up doing any of the planning, but we were very happy to go along with the activities that other people had researched and planned for us. We spent the first 3 days of our trip in Panama City. The ride from the airport to the city was fairly short and a really fun way to see the landscape. We immediately grabbed brunch while we waited to check into our hotel. The food was really good, and honestly, we didn't have a bad meal this whole trip. We stayed at the W Hotel, and we were really happy with our room and the other amenities that this property offered. The views out our windows were really fun, but the 360 views from the rooftop pool were even better. We grabbed dinner at a restaurant that was within walking distance of our hotel. Everything we ate here was so good. We did find out that normal dinner times in Panama are later than the United States, so we pretty much had the restaurant to ourselves this night. Ford was in the middle of training for a marathon, so he laced up pretty early to get in his miles. There was a great walking/biking path that was right along the waterfront and only a few blocks away from the hotel. I took a slower approach and walked this path, and I got to enjoy all the fun nature along the way. We met up for breakfast, and Ford got these Panamanian tortillas, which was actually one of my favorite foods we ate this entire trip. We rented some bikes at a nearby shop and kind of found them a little small for most of us, but they still worked out fine. Our goal was to make it out to the Amador Causeway, but we quickly realized that there was no way to do that without biking along the highway, which was definitely not safe. So instead, we did some exploring, plus we rode along that same biking path that we did earlier and got to see this really cute photo spot. This was one of the few times we experienced rain, but it was so hot, no one was complaining about it. For dinner, we had a reservation at a restaurant called A to Z Pop-Up in Old Town. This was a 10-course dining experience where the chef talks you through each dish. The food was incredible, and it was such an amazing experience overall. We seriously all talked about this meal for days. Our third day here was our big adventure day. We were picked up and then driven about 3 hours to go ziplining. The drive was long, but we did get to go over the Panama Canal and get to see more of the country. We went on a little jungle hike while we were waiting for the harnesses to become available. We ended up spending a lot of time waiting around to go ziplining, unfortunately, and after some more online research, we found that maybe there were some cooler things to do in this area than what we had signed up for. Overall, the zip lines were really fun, but probably wouldn't recommend going out of your way to do this. Also, the waterfall that we were supposed to swim in afterwards was closed, so our driver took us to a nearby hot springs. It was okay, but at that point, we were all pretty done with the outing and ready to be back in the city. We missed our initial dinner reservation for that night, but ended up at a sushi restaurant in Old Town at the recommendation of our chef from the previous night. We didn't expect to see so much foreign food in this city, but it became pretty clear quickly that there is such a blend of cultures here. After another early morning run from Ford, we packed up and headed out to see our next destination in Panama, Buenaventura. We drove past a lot of the same things we saw the day before, but it was still fun to see the landscape, the people, the cars. Our stay this time was at a beach club resort type place where we had access to pools and the ocean. It was really nice to only be a 2-minute walk from the beach. We also rented a golf cart, ATV kind of thing, to use while we were there, and it quickly became one of the best decisions of the trip. Obviously, our first order of business was to take it out on the sand and see what it could do. Second day at the resort, we drove over to a spot to do some snorkeling. Unfortunately, a current had come in and brought a bunch of tiny jellyfish with it, so we were unable to get into the water. The company still took us out to the same spot and we were able to see a few creatures from the boat. We stumbled across this beachfront area set up with food trucks and a bar and decided to stop there for dinner. The food was okay, but the vibes here were very cool. When we walked by a few days later, this place was completely filled up and looked like quite the party. Most of our time in Buenaventura, we spent hanging out with our friends and relaxing by the water. It was really fun to have a high energy and a low energy vacation rolled into one trip. Overall, we really enjoyed our time in Panama, but wouldn't put it at the top of our list of places we'd want to visit again.